to Throwback Thursdays with myself, Keith Harris, and the wonderful
Nikki Clarke.
Hey, how you doing, Nikki?
I am doing well. How are you, Keith?
I'm doing fine, as a matter of fact. Getting over this little chill down here. I gotta be honest, I'm ready for summertime again, Nikki. It's this back and forth cold weather I don't like.
Okay. What do you call chill? Because we're double chilled. Oh. It is so cold.
Okay, yeah, not quite the same
thing. It is brutal out here. In the Celsius, I think it's like close to minus 20. So I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's not fun.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know what? Here I am complaining, and I forget what you guys are going through. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I'll switch places with you anytime right now.
Minus 20.
Oh yeah, like the other day it was like with the wind chill minus 40. No word of a lie. I think that was Sunday, February 15th. That was intense, and I know people had things to do, places to go, and I'm pretty sure they didn't leave their homes because it was just one of those freezing days. So they just said, "No, I'm going to just call it a day." You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what? That's what's amazing about here is because if it's a little bit of flurries coming or a little bit of supposed to be ice on the ground, everything is shutting down. People buying up all the bread at the grocery store. I can't get no milk. It's crazy.
They're stocking up, right? Stocking up for hibernation.
Yeah.
Well, that's just human behavior. But a lot's been going on in the news. Did you hear about the billionaire Italian who owned, he put together Nutella. I love my Nutella on toast in the morning, the chocolate hazelnut spread, and Ferrero Rocher chocolates and Kinder Surprise. His name is Ferrero. That's his last name. He died last week.
Oh, man.
He died last week, and he left a legacy of all this, these delicious treats for us. So I want to say, my condolences to his family, but we're reaping big time from the invention of Nutella. That stuff has been around since I was a kid.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just found out about it about 8 years ago myself because my kids love Nutella themselves.
Don't they? Oh,
yeah.
My gosh. You know what I had the other day? I went to an Italian restaurant and I had Nutella pizza.
What?
Jeez.
Nutella pizza?
Off the chain. I was in heaven. I couldn't believe what I was eating. It was so good. Yeah, it was Nutella spread all over pizza dough with a little bit of marshmallows in it. It was over.
Okay, let me ask a question because the only Nutella I've seen is the chocolate. Is that the only flavor of Nutella? Does it just come in chocolate?
It's the hazelnut chocolate.
Oh,
so
man. Good. Wow. Yeah, I know. I used to after Nutella came out, my kids could get away with eating that for breakfast every day. It was like, what you gonna eat? And they're like, okay, I'll have some Nutella, and it made me mad because I couldn't argue with it. It's like, all right, at least you still eat.
It is good.
Yeah.
All right, Nutella again.
Right. So wow, but yeah,
no.
like you say, condolences to his family. I mean, yeah, that is a monumental what he left behind.
Absolutely. And the Kinder Surprise, the little treats inside. You open up the eggshell, the chocolate eggshell, and inside there's like a little orange container, and there's some kind of like puzzle or something you have to put together. That went over my children when I was, parenting them very early, and whenever they did something really well in school or, their behavior was awesome, I treated them with Kinder Surprises, and that was something, really special for us. One of those things they remember.
That was amazing. I think I need to run out and get some Nutella now after the show. But that's sad. So what's been going on? I know you were talking the other day. I saw you posted about teaching a class in Black History Month this month.
Yeah, actually, I just finished a presentation at a Boys and Girls Club here in Toronto, and it went over really well, and talked about why we celebrate Black History Month. And it's really interesting to find out, out of the mouth of babes, so to speak, young individuals, what they know of Black History Month. Yeah. And I had a little girl, couldn't have been more than 7 years old, when I asked her the question, what do you know about Black History Month? She said to me, well, it's when we have to know about when blacks were treated like
Wow.
And I could hear the gasps in the room, and the teachers were squirming. But I appreciate the honesty, the candor of children, because they don't have censors. They don't edit themselves.
Yeah.
And they come and they present to you what has been presented to them. So they just share what they know.
Yeah.
And that opened up a really good discussion. And I put together a presentation that showed them some of the great inventions, like the potato chip. They had no idea the potato chip was invented by George Crumb, a black gentleman from the States.
Wow.
So that won them over. And then the super soaker.
Yeah.
What child does not like the super soaker?
That was a big deal. Right.
That's a huge deal. That was invented by Lonnie Johnson, another black gentleman from the States. So many incredible gifts contributed from the African diaspora to the world, and that's what I shared with them. And at the end of the presentation, I asked them, who do they know who is black and famous? And every single hand shot up. And they said, President Obama, Michelle Obama, Beyonce, Jay-Z. So they are very aware of who is current, who is relevant, and who is, making a mark in the world of, African descent. So I was really happy at the end when, things kind of turned around and they made that connection.
Yeah, with something, a little more positive. I tell you, it's this month, this is the first year, honestly, Nikki, I have to say that Black History Month has been pretty bleak in the media, as we both have noticed.
I haven't seen a whole lot either. That's so funny you mentioned that, yeah.
And, I was thinking about this a little earlier, and I'm going to tell you, one opinion, a bit of an observation that I came up with, and because I tried to figure out a few times, not just today, but I said, what's going on? And this statement right here might hit a lot of people, but I feel like some people out there have been afraid to touch on Black History Month this month is in the past because of all the different negativity things that have been going on in the media, such as,
you mean from Ferguson?
Yeah, a lot of, and not just Ferguson, but so many instances that we've had happen. New
York City.
Right. I feel like, every other year in February when it's Black History Month, I think that people of other cultures as well, not just blacks, but tend to be able to focus, because see, over the years, people started to focus on the positiveness in Black History Month. And just like you spoke about all the positive things that, blacks have contributed. And I think that this year there became, because of all the events, I think that there just became such an argumentative scenario or debate just between the cultures that I think people were afraid this year to really touch on Black History Month because it seemed like it would cause more of a fuss than anything. I don't know. So that's just what I felt like.
Right.
And
you could have, that's a valid point. Maybe there is an apprehension to, talk about Black History Month to maybe open up some wounds that are healing.
Exactly.
So people don't want to go there.
Exactly. And and that kind of hit me hard, because what I really would like listeners and people out there to do is, what, I know it's almost to the end of February, and so we've missed a lot of what's going on, but I think it's still important to, respect the month and what blacks went through, but then also still be able to focus on the positive aspects too. Don't just be deterred or turn away from the situation and be afraid of just certain things that happen, because, you don't want to let one bad apple or a few bad apples spoil the bunch. And when I say bad apples, I don't mean people. I just mean like situations and scenarios.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And unfortunately, it's always the few that get the most attention. Mm-hmm. And then everyone else who's going about their business and, upright citizens, they're ignored.
Exactly.
So it really needs to turn around, and everyone needs to get their own little shine in the sun. So,
right.
Yeah, well, we got to try, right? I'm making my effort to get out there and speak to the young ones, because they are our legacy. They are our future, and we need to, implant right ideas and right thinking from the very beginning. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I commend you for doing that. Also, when I heard about that, I was like, that's a big deal, because we didn't have enough of that. I even have to admit and blame myself. A lot of times that I looked up and I said, okay, well, it's Black History Month. Let's, talk about something involving Black history. And then I stopped myself and I said, well, nobody else is doing it. When I speak about this, am I going to start something? Are people going to, assume that I'm, putting my fist in the air, and this is like, strictly a pro-Black thing. So, it was just really kind of controversial on the whole issue. And I wish that it had kind of turned out differently in the situation. But hey, who knows? And then to keep it, real, there's probably a lot of people who do want to try and turn away from the situation as well. And, I don't think that that's fair. I think that, considering what we, considering what our people went through years and years ago, so many different groundbreaking events have deserved holidays and they still get their recognition. So I still feel as though Black History Month deserves to be recognized. I mean, it's something we can't walk away from.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to Black History Year. Not just 1 month.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, that's the whole thing too about it. We talk about Black History Month, but the truth of the matter is things happen every day of the year, and that's what we want to try to focus on is, just the equality all the way around the board. Because I'm sure a lot of our Black leaders will be turning over. And listen, what do you think about us not having? And this is, I'm saying this not coming from your mouth, but coming from my mouth. I don't feel like we have Black leaders like we did before. I mean, we got the Al Sharptons and the people like that, but people are generally only speaking up as soon as something happens. But you don't see the everyday vigilance. I just don't. I don't. You don't see it. And so hey, hopefully that'll turn around. But so happy, Black History Month to everyone who can recognize and enjoy this month and see it clearly for what it is, regardless as to what culture that you come from, because it's very important. So that right there.
It is. It's so important to just recognize the special gifts and the people who have sacrificed and put themselves in positions of vulnerability in order for Blacks to advance throughout the world. So we really have to give homage to them. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, the list goes on.
Yes.
I need more time to list many, but at least we are making that effort, and
right.
Yeah, that's what it takes, really. So.
And before we get off the topic, one quick thing I want to mention is a few years ago in Toronto, I had the honor and I was able to stand in front of this lady, and it was moving. Like I really felt it, from my head to my toes. I had the honor of meeting. For me, it was a big deal. I had the honor of meeting Maya Angelou.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's huge.
That was major for me, and even speaking about someone, like her with just her different writings, her poems and, a lot of things that positiveness that she put out, into the world was just amazing. So, I just want to send a shout out, and a rest in peace to Maya Angelou as well, because that was like one of the highlights, if not one of the largest highlights of my life, was meeting Maya Angelou. Very special person. So I just want to salute in Black History Month to her as well.
Yeah, awesome. You know what? This brings back a moment that I had with my father in Montreal. We went to see Jesse Jackson speak.
Oh, wow.
And I remember that clearly. And one of the things that I left with when he spoke was that there's nothing more powerful than a mind made up. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's dope. Jesse Jackson, listen, he spoke so profoundly and so powerful. And I don't think that there has been anyone who is since Jesse Jackson, I'll say, not necessarily before, but since Jesse Jackson, who has spoken, with such strength. A lot of people have forgotten about Jesse Jackson too, Nikki.
Mm-hmm. Well, they need to Google him because he's a powerful mind, and he, has done so much to pave a path for us to walk through, got to recognize. Definitely.
Absolutely. Now before we move on, because we've got a special guest coming up today, but
We do.
yeah, but how's your auntie doing? Is she doing all right?
She's doing okay. The other day she threw out her hip.
Oh no, not again.
She was reggae aerobic-sizing.
Yeah.
She does this thing on Saturdays where they play dance hall music, and she was bending down, doing something really low, and ended up in the emergency room. So she's taking a break right now. She's in the next room. So I'll see if she can come out and chat with you in a little bit. But yeah, she's just resting that hip.
All right. Well, yeah.
The hips don't lie. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Well, let her get her rest. Just tell her we all said what's up to her.
Okay.
And of course, we got some wonderful throwback jams today, as usual.
I love it.
Absolutely. And then we'll be back with Barry Wright, right?
Yes. For the longest time, I was calling this very talented author of Betrayal of Trust, Barry White. Baby.
Yeah.
And he said to me, no, it's Wright, W-R-I-T-H. So yeah, we're gonna be talking to Barry Wright, the author, in a few minutes, and he's got a great book out, so I can't wait to talk to him.
All right, that sounds excellent. So we'll jump into some throwback jams right here on Throwback Thursdays today with Nikki Clarke and myself right here on Hotline Radio. Also, we want to remind everyone the call-in number to call in case you want to call in and join the conversation, or talk to us and speak to our special guests as well. The call-in number to dial. Get your pens now. I know sometimes I give this number out and people call some other odd phone numbers, okay? And they're like,
so make sure you have the right number this time. We'll give you a few seconds to get your pen and paper and write this number down to call in and talk with us. I want to hear from you.
Absolutely. The number to dial is area code 510-340-5396. Again, that's 510-340-5396. We're getting ready to get into some wonderful throwback jams right here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to play some Technotronic. Let's give them some.
Oh, I love it.
I know, right? That just sounds so throwbacky too, right? Technotronic.
Very throwbacky.
All right. Hey, you know what though? Before we go to that though, I want to say something though. It's amazing. Technology over the years has moved so forward. But then look at the title of this song though, Technotronic, and how long ago that came out. Crazy, right?
That's from the 90s, early 90s, I think.
Exactly. So tech.
All right. Well, Keith, let's do it. We're diving here. Technotronic here on Throwback Thursdays with Keith Harris and myself, Nikki Clarke. Keep it locked.
All right. And we are back right here on Hotline Radio. Of course, you're tuned into Throwback Thursdays with the wonderful Nikki Clarke and myself, Keith Harris, here on the show. Nikki.
Yes. Oh, man, I was daydreaming there about the days dancing to Pump Up the Jam in the club. Yeah, that brought me back some memories. But I'd like to just take this moment now to introduce a very special friend of mine. He's been on my live taping show a couple of times, and he's just such a knowledgeable and just a well-rounded gentleman. He's the author of Betrayal of Trust. Please welcome Barry Wright to the show.
Thank you very much. Nice to be on board.
Welcome to the show, Barry.
You're welcome.
All right. So, all right. Yeah, it's wonderful to have you with us today, Barry Wright. I know we've been looking forward to this for 2 weeks, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, you were ill, I think, about a week ago. I hope you're better.
Oh, my good. You know what? I just got better about 3 days ago.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Oh, my God. Very serious going around. There's a stomach virus going around too. That hit me last week.
Oh,
that
wow.
was no fun. It just stays for like 24 hours and then
that's like the longest 24 hours, I tell you.
It's the longest 24 hours. You're right.
I've been lucky so far with no flu or anything like that at all. Maybe I had a little bit of a problem, but I was able to shake it off. So I was happy to do that.
Congratulations to that.
We need you in good health, definitely. Keep writing.
Right.
Now, you've done so much in your career, Barry, and I find it really interesting that you were one of the first people to create, I think, a math textbook, yourself and a team of others. Can you talk about that, going from a math textbook writer to writing the suspense-filled book that you have?
Well, my writing, I guess, really goes back, even my desire to do it. It really started, like that journey for me started when I was 12 or 13. And of all things, I was ill for about a year with a thing called nephrotic syndrome. And because of that illness, I met a number of people who ended up becoming mentors of mine. One was my tutor, Miss Richardson, and then another was a patient whom I befriended in the hospital by the name of Mrs. Bell. Very special people who introduced me to the writing aspect through the tutoring and the love of books and what they had to offer you. As the years went by, for me, I guess the next big sort of mentor in my life, an important mentor, was Dr. H. Lawrence Rich, who was my professor at University of Toronto. And he in turn asked me if I wanted to be involved with writing MathScope, which was the first math textbook series in Canada for Prentice Hall. And I took that on, and I have to admit we had a lot of fun doing it because it was going to be a very different textbook compared to others in that it did a number of different things. One, the idea behind it was to teach the teacher and the student at the same time. We chose content that was going to be relevant, we thought, to the student, and at the same time provide direct links to the real world outside the classroom so that the kids could get a real sense of where mathematics in all of its various forms could be found. And it gave it a sense, I think, of credibility, I hope, to an awful lot of the students who ended up using that book as part of their learning experience. So
now you're with Betrayal of Trust, a suspense thriller. And when did you write that? When did that come out?
Well, actually, that's a fairly long sort of process because when I finally retired, I thought,
how long ago did you retire?
Well, I've been retired now. So, my gosh, I hate to think, 15 years since I was 55. Okay. And I had been involved before that in a number of community activities, including the acting. And the acting was another part of that creative development that eventually led me to, I think, to writing this particular book, at least starting this book, along with others that I'm working on at the moment. How did I get to this point? Well, it was a long process. It took me, I guess, a good 6-7 years of learning how to knit together a story properly. I worked with Sandra Purcell, who's a Canadian author out of the Humber School of Writing.
Right.
And I worked with her for about a year. But at the end of the year, I still had a long way to go and a lot of little failures. In fact, a lot of big failures along the way to try to learn this process. But at the end of the road, for me, it was, I guess, one of those wow moments because all of a sudden everything started coming together, and so the actual writing of this particular book then, after that, took me, I guess, about 2 years of finally knitting it together. And it, for me, was just an absolutely wonderful journey. It was one of those sort of what I call wow moments when it happens, because it's sort of I don't know, it's a way when you've accomplished something, like writing a novel in this particular case. It's really, for me, it's a moment of gratitude to the people and books that have shaped my life. Yeah, it was sort of a moment of triumph, sort of a new beginning, and that's how I looked at it. And as a result, I would say writing every day. I'm working now on the next novel that's associated with it, and I'm working on a number of short stories of a brand new series as well.
Okay, well, let's talk about Betrayal of Trust. Who are the protagonists in the story, and can we be, led into the storyline?
Well, I guess probably the first thing I would say about Betrayal of Trust is it's a fast-paced, action-packed thriller with naughty bits and all, in which the farmers...
We like naughty bits, right, Keith?
Absolutely.
Nothing wrong with naughty bits.
Nothing at all.
My Aunt Daisy loves them. She just perked up. She's looking at me. We like naughty bits.
Now, I have to admit, it's sort of funny when you're writing pieces that are sort of the naughty bits. I have to admit, I had to think a number of times because there were quite vivid descriptions used. And they really had to decide, was that important to the book? And then, of course, I came to the conclusion, yes, it was. And it comes later on in the book as well. But basically what it gets down to is the book evolves as it deals with a pharmaceutical executive who attempts to expose his corrupt CEO who has ties to the local drug cartel, and he tries to take down that local drug cartel as well. That's it in just one sense. That's really what it's about. Now, the actual premise of how it really began to take off was based on a couple of items that I came across on the internet a few years back. It came out of the East Coast, New Brunswick, I believe it was. And it dealt with something corrupt happening in a pharmaceutical company, and it also involved transference of drugs and the method by which they did it. And so out of that, I began to say, okay, now, how can I get a story out of this and connect it all together? And so that's when I began to ask myself, what if everything you believed in was a lie? That was the question I then asked myself. And then out of that came, I think, the main part of the story. That's where Edward Slocum, who is one of the protagonists in the story, begins to learn that when he sees armed men outside the building 3C on the company premises, he then becomes suspicious of the organization's operation. And it isn't long before he finds himself on a dangerous roller coaster ride of events that irrevocably changes not only his life, but endangers the future of the community. Now, one of the problems he's having to deal with in the storyline is he's fraught over the guilt of his wife's death. He struggles, along with that, with his rekindled attraction to his teenage sweetheart, Charlotte Bradley, and a growing distrust of one of his close friends, John Elkhart, who actually got him into the company as one of the executive vice presidents. But anyway, Charlotte, who's still in love with Edward, joins forces with him along with her friend Janet Thompson to discover the secret of that building 3C. And they quickly find that nothing is what it appears to be. They attempt to expose the CEO of Chemcore and take down the local drug cartel. And at that point, unable to turn back, they learn much more than they ever expected about their community. The death of Edward's wife, which comes up, and Chemcore's real agenda, and the strength of their moral resolve. So there's a number of factors that come into play when you're dealing with the Betrayal of Trust, because I think what makes it relevant, I hope it does to an awful lot of people, it's not just the drug smuggling, which we often are exposed to on our news or newspapers. There are a number of themes that are developed around personal relationships. For example, greed, power, love, friendship, jealousy, sibling rivalry, and selfishness. That is really what helps to bond, I think, the entire book together, other than just the sort of intrigue that goes on at various levels within the story.
Right. So so as well as, just like you say, as well as the, just the basics of drug dealing, like you say, the news and the everyday things, it deals with humanity and personal relationships involved with each other.
I think the betrayal, for example, of the well, there are a number of betrayals here that go on without giving it all away, but the main betrayal, I think, for Edward Slocum was that he had left his position. He had come to Chemcore Pharmaceuticals on the invitation of his friend, John Elkhart, to find that he was doing on a filtering system. Because the end result there is that the company, the CEO, wanted control of that work, and that was the other piece that sort of fits in with the story itself.
Oh wow! Okay.
There's a lot of, I think it's a multi-layered area, but book I should say. But I hope that when the reader picks it up and looks at it and goes through it, I hope they find that they enjoy it and they don't want to put it down. Because you get into the action very, very quickly at the beginning. You do with most of my writing. You get right into the action. It doesn't just take 3, 4, 5 chapters to get into it. You're into it right at the beginning, and then from there on in, it's like it's like I say, it's like a roller coaster ride. You're trying to figure out exactly what it is that's going on.
Right. Which is good because once you jump right in and then you can, the reader has some action to deal with, then by that time they're intrigued, they want to know what's happening next, and then it can kind of settle them into the characters and who's doing what and why and so on.
That's my intention. What sort of comes up in my mind is actually a couple of things, but one thing in particular, I don't know whether you're familiar with the series Blacklist.
Yeah.
But in that series, Raymond Reddington made a comment that really stuck in my head a couple of years back. And what he said was, if I remember correctly, power resides in the hearts of criminals and corporations.
Yeah.
And to me, that leaves much to reflect on. And I think that is, if you want, that is part of the core of what Betrayal of Trust sort of reflects. Power resides in the hearts of criminals and corporations, and it's filled with so many possibilities if you think even about that quote by itself.
Yeah, that is a powerful quote.
I thought it was, and I think it probably does a pretty good job of beginning to describe how I see the book, and hopefully the writers or the readers will see the book the same way as well.
Okay, so you say you're developing some short stories, a series of short stories, and you have another book on the way. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I sure can, yeah. The second book in the series is, I haven't got a title for it yet. I think that's one of the working titles I have, is called Black Code Unleashed. But the second novel involves the same characters, Janet Thompson, Charlotte Bradley, and Edward Slocum. And in a nutshell, the story begins and evolves from a phone call made by a highly respected Ottawa lawyer just prior to her going out for her usual evening run. To her friend, who is the cabinet minister, to ensure their luncheon scheduled for the next day was still on. Well, the lawyer is killed then in the hit and run that evening. At the memorial service, the late lawyer's husband passes an envelope to her friend who, unbeknown to her at the time, is about to propel her into a world of intrigue, deception, and murder. That's what the second novel will be developing and going through. I'm more or less well into that at this point now. The short stories I'm working on, which are for my readers to enjoy on my blog for the time being, is the Inspector Collier series, Alexander Collier series. And I'm having a lot of fun with that because it's in the period between 1938 to about mid-40s, so it'll go just prior to the war years and into the war years. And why I chose those particular dates, other than I'm interested in those dates, is that I had finished a course on forensic science over the internet through Coursera.org. And it was a course on forensic science out of Singapore. And out of that came a whole lot of information that I'm now using in my writing and experimenting with in this particular series. So it's kind of fun to do. One of the aspects I've been able to do with the blog, with the Alexander Collier series, is to make it very interactive. So, for example, where something is mentioned, say a comedian of that period, a movie of that period, something pertinent to that period, there's embedded links within the blog that the reader, if they so choose, can go to and learn more about it. And I think that's probably part of the teacher stuff coming out in me.
Right.
Very much so, because, I mean, just to go back to that very quickly, as an educator, I guess a lot of how I look at things revolves around a quote by Benjamin Franklin. It says, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I learn." And I think that's really what I'm experimenting around with at the moment with the blog, is to, especially with this particular series, is to allow the reader to interact and get involved with that period and really learn about it if they choose to, or just be entertained by each of the parts that makes up the story.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful.
You know, I have wanted to interject because two things. The first thing is that, you know, we have received comments from people, Barry, who are saying that they are reading your book, as a matter of fact. Betrayal of Trust, and the reviews have been wonderful. So, you know, I just wanted to come out and say that for the listeners who sent those comments that are probably listening in right now, and just to let you know that that you've been getting a wonderful response. And we also what I also would like you to do is to repeat once again for those who might, you know, some people are on their way home in their cars right now. Some people are getting out of the car, but I want you to repeat once again where they can go to, you know, check your website and find your book, as a matter of fact, if they want to purchase it.
Okay, is it B.B. Wright? Again, Wright is spelled W-R-I-G-H-T, bbwrightauthor.com. And that's my webpage. That brings you right to my webpage, and all the sort of places where you can buy the book. And again, anybody who wants to contact me can contact me through the LinkedIn if they choose. You can buy my book, obviously, through the website. And actually, I mentioned to Nikki earlier, I was going to suggest that the first 5 callers to the station with the password Edward Slocum would receive personalized signed copies of the book.
Well, there you go.
All they need to do
Are you listening out there? So what do they have to say?
Edward Slocum.
Edward Slocum. Okay.
A personalized signed copy, and what we would do is send it to my email, which is Wright, WRIGHTBA 34 @gmail.com.
Okay. So let's get that going. Only 5 people can get a signed copy today. Complimentary copy from Barry Wright, Betrayal of Trust. So you don't want to miss that opportunity. The book is wonderful. It's been getting rave reviews. I was fortunate to get a copy, as well as the audience members, when Barry was on my show just a few weeks ago. So people are really enjoying it, and you want to get this copy now.
Well, thank you very much. So often as a writer, you feel you're always wanting to find out how the readers are finding it, and so often I've had many people come to my site, read my blog, but they don't necessarily leave a comment, but I know they've been there because they're worldwide. But I'd like, the comments that you made regards the book, and certainly what I've read on Amazon, I'm so happy that people are enjoying it, because I sure enjoyed writing it. It was a great opportunity. And the second book, as I say, it'll be coming out. I think people will find it much more involved, a little more action, and of course it'll be Canadian based. But I'm having fun writing it at the moment, alongside the Inspector Collier series.
Mary, do you mind if you could talk to my Aunt Daisy? She actually has a question for you. Would you mind?
Not at all.
Okay, be quick, because Barry has things to do. All right, hold on a second.
No, go ahead.
Get prepared, Barry. Oh.
Who is this?
This is Barry right here.
Barry what? Missing up?
No, now, not the white. I spoke to Nikki about that. Did she not tell you? Is Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T. I was almost going to say I wish it was white, but then I thought, oh no, I don't think so. He's deceased. His music.
I like your music. I like your music. You have a sexy voice.
If I could be as good as a writer as he is, as much as this year, I would be happy. Happy as all heck out. That'd be great.
You have a book?
I do. And that book is called Betrayal of Trust. Have you had it?
You can't trust everybody, you know.
Oh,
you can't trust everybody.
I tell you, that book sure emphasizes that point of it. I'll tell you that, because there's a lot of learning that goes on for many, many people.
You don't have sexy things inside the book I can read. I like to read sexy things.
Well,
you know, I have 7 boyfriends. I have a boyfriend every single day of the week, except Sunday. I take a break and go to church.
Betrayal.
What I need to do here is to make sure that I'll have to talk to Nikki. Maybe I can take that and turn that into a really good juicy story.
You could.
I'm juicy. I'm juicy, you know. I'm 220 pounds of juicy sexiness.
Ooh, I like that.
Yay!
Are you going to come up to my farm here with Nikki when I get her up here? Hopefully late spring, early summer.
Farm?
Yeah.
I don't cook chicken or anything like that. I just like to relax. You can relax on the farm. I don't want to work on it.
Well, you won't work, I promise you. You'll be served and treated upper end all the time, top drawer.
Okay, well, that can work.
Yeah.
You know any man down there want to talk to me in that place?
Well, I could probably look into that, because I have no doubts, listening to your voice and the energy from it, that they would enjoy meeting you. I have no doubts.
I'm 80 years old and 60.
Well, I understand that, and you sound that way. Now, I got to add something. See, what's interesting up here is like the farm is in Priceville, and Priceville has a very interesting sort of history behind it, and there's a lot sort of that attracts me certainly into the area, and I know you'd like it.
I'm attractive, you know. I'm attractive, very.
So then
I'm going to send you a picture. I'm not going to text a picture to you. I'm going to send a picture on the Google. Check the Google later. Okay? Okay.
It was great.
Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. Take care.
Bye. Bye, Keith.
Bye, Aunt Daisy. I miss you.
Okay, then. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to miss that. That was great. I enjoyed talking to Aunt Daisy. That was fun.
I tell you, Barry, Aunt Daisy is a lovely, sweet woman, and she's gonna take you up on that offer. Now she's gonna come lay out up here. And I was gonna say sun, but it's cold there right now.
Now I know, Keith. The offer goes to you as well when you're up here in Canada.
Hey, I'll be back, so I'll definitely take you up on that, my man.
Yes, I think you're down in North Carolina.
Yes, I'm down here in the Carolinas, as a matter of fact. So look, hey, I tell you what, I'm kind of looking forward to getting away from the farms for a little while. I'm ready to get back to the big lights in the city. So,
listen, Toronto's just a great city, and of course, as you know, right now, this is Black History Month up here, and a lot of people don't know that Toronto was the first municipality in Canada to bring about Black history.
Oh, wow. That is...
and a lot of people don't know that. And I think that it happened in the 70s, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow.
We were the first municipality in Canada to do that. And, of course, as you probably know, it started in the United States in I think, 1920. So, very special time, very special month, a lot of neat things going on up here all year round. And I don't know, I love being in this area. We really think it's great because we can move between the city and the country, and both worlds for us are very rich in its gifts, and so we're lucky to be able to do this.
Yeah, I love Canada, as a matter of fact. Big shouts out and salute to Canada, as you say, Barry, and very multicultural as well. And yeah,
absolutely, and that's what I like about it. Now I'm in the Brampton area,
okay.
and when you talk about multicultural, wow.
Right.
And I've worked with that multicultural group, not only teenagers but adults, when I worked over at what used to be Westwood, which is now Lincoln Alexander Secondary School. And now Lincoln Alexander, you probably are familiar with him. I'm not sure, but he was the first lieutenant governor here in Ontario.
Right.
So black. He was just great. In fact, he was the chancellor at the University of Guelph, and gave my son Ian, whose middle name is also Alexander, his degree. And so it was a very special event for my son, being given his degree by the Honorable Lincoln Alexander.
Hey, I just got back on.
Yeah.
Who do I have to apologize to? Did she embarrass me again? What did she say? Okay, tell me after the show. I don't know.
Oh, I thought she was really nice. 80 years old? I can't believe it.
Yeah. She works out, and she loves dancehall music, and wow. I don't know. She's just a busy woman, so I hope that I have the same energy level when I'm that age.
So do I. So do I.
But I heard the last little bit was Lincoln Alexander, and I'm really glad that you brought that up, because there was the inaugural Lincoln Alexander Day just this past January 25th.
Wow.
January 21st was National Lincoln Alexander Day, so I'm really happy about that. And I was really excited to meet his family January 25th at the Metro Convention Center in Toronto. The Ontario Black History Society had a brunch, and we honored the daughters with an award, just basically celebrating his greatness and what he's done for Canada and the world at large.
Wonderful individual. I should mention, too, that here in Toronto on February the 20th, at the Toronto Public Library, George Eliot Clarke, I don't know whether you're familiar with him, he's a poet-playwright. He wrote the poetry Wiley Falls, but he's going to be there on the 20th with a number of other people, and what they're going to be doing is discussing Malcolm X 50 years after. So I wish I could be there to enjoy, because I would be heading down. It would be very, very interesting, I think, to be part of.
Wow. That's amazing.
Awesome. Barry, it's been a pleasure having you on. You are always full of wisdom, and I really enjoy talking to you. And again, can you tell us how people can reach you? And let's get those calls in.
Yeah.
We need those calls.
Get out there.
They got to remember that the key word key name is Edward Slocum.
Okay.
And the first 5 who use Edward Slocum, they can get in touch then afterwards at my email at Wright, again, Wright, WRIGHTBA34@gmail.com. And if they're looking at places where they can buy my book, they can go to my website, which is bbwrightauthor.com. And there they'll have all the sites that includes my blog, the whole works, as to where they can get the books. Any other people who want to contact me as well can do it through LinkedIn. That's not on that site, so they would just have to search me out on LinkedIn under Barry Wright. Right. Not Barry White, Barry Wright.
There's a
story behind that, isn't there, Nikki, between you and
Oh, there sure is. I was explaining that to Keith earlier. So.
Yeah, she was, right? Sorry, I wanted to cut in and, just kind of touch back on the math book that you wrote, too. I want to commend you, on that, just on behalf of myself and us, here in America and Canada as well. And I say that because 2 of my young daughters are in Toronto. They're growing up in Toronto now. And Toronto, or Canada, I should say, has I think a pretty good or a wonderful education system. And so I really just wanted to, and they're math geniuses. Let me just put that out there. By the way, my two daughters. And so I just wanted to, yeah, they are. Yep. And so I just.
And I have to add, when we talk about mathematics, we're talking obviously male and female here that are key to it. So many female that I've met, both adults and younger, have, I don't know, there seems to be a math phobia still that's out there. And I think part of the problem, quite honestly, is that math for so long was used as a filtering device to decide people's directions and careers in life. And people students certainly that I've had, when they ask me, I'm having trouble with my math, etc. And the first thing I often ask them was, do you play or write music? And many of these kids said, well, yeah, I do that. And at that point, that's when I know that they should probably do better in the math than they're actually doing, because the music symbols and the sorts of regimentation of what has to be learned is exactly the same as the mathematics.
Yeah.
And so many people don't do that kind of connection. Yeah. But the mathematics abilities often lie within the music and other things that people do. They just had never seen the connections before.
Absolutely, and that's that's why I brought that up, because I wanted to just send a congrats and commend you on contributing to what I have noticed is a wonderful math environment up there. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you very much, and I humbly speak in terms of all these teachers who, in my mind, have done the best darn job that they could possibly do. I mean, there are some exceptions, as you do in but the vast majority care about the students, and they're certainly well educated in the learning aspect of how to teach students the mathematics. I'm absolutely amazed now when I'm talking to various students and seeing what they're doing, how much more advanced it has become over the last 5-10 years. Again, I think that having that mathematics background, if you can be reasonably successful in it, I think it will take you a long way, because there isn't much in society that doesn't somehow touch on mathematics.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, I have to add, and based on my humble experience, is that there isn't anything that I did not learn in high school that I don't use now. Everything I've learned in high school I use now. Everything. And students may say, well, I don't use history. History has got so much in terms of the writing, the logic, doing research, and sometimes that's sort of missed, all the various pieces that come together in that learning process, whether it's history, learning a language, mathematics, science, whatever the case might be, and they all have a tendency of repeating all the way through through courses. It just that sometimes it's missed.
Right.
Yes. I thank you for mentioning that, and I want to thank you again for all your contributions and what you're doing. And I'm looking forward to seeing the new projects that you have out. And I think we've got some more great throwback music for the audience listening. So Keith.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll jump on that right now. As a matter of fact, we have some Maestro Fresh West for Barry also, by the way. Let your back.
First platinum.
Yeah. And
first platinum winner in Canada.
Absolutely. And big shout outs to a good friend of mine up there, Nikki. You probably know Diarte as well too, who actually was part of my Maestro's group and was one of the dancers, as a matter of fact. So big shouts out to him as well.
Okay.
Barry Wright, we thank you for being on today.
An absolute pleasure on my part, and I thank you very much for inviting me.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great experience. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
You're welcome. Very welcome.
Everybody, you are listening to Throwback Thursdays with the wonderful Nikki Clarke and myself, and we have had the honor of listening and talking to Barry Wright, the well-respected author. Don't forget to contact him. The email address is Wright, WRIGHTBA34@gmail.com. Mention Edward Slocum, be one of the first 5 people or the first 5 people, and get a signed copy of the book. And Nikki Clarke, go ahead. Go ahead, Barry.
Oh, I was just going to say personalized signed copy. So got their name and whoever they wanted to, that's who I'll put it to.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, remember the signed copy.
Absolutely.
Can you sign one for Aunt Daisy?
Yes, I
sharing at me right now, so yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And she said to make it out to my lovely, sexy 80-year-old.
Is that what she wants? I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, sexy and 80. I don't know. That's her tag.
That's a lady. I'll do that. Sexy and 80.
80.
My gosh.
Yeah.
I can't
All right.
She's 80. She sure didn't sound like it.
All right. Hey, look,
Nice guy.
and salutes to you, Nikki Clarke, too. Just talking about education. Big congratulations to you and all you do up there. Also, you know, in Canada, and just, you know, in inspiring and helping the minds of the youth to grow. So big shout outs and salute to you. We're gonna get.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely, it comes from me as well, Nikki.
Thank you, Barry.
All right, everybody, you're listening to Throwback Thursdays. We're going to get into Maestro Fresh West with Let Your Backbone Slide right here on Throwback.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Thursdays.
Here on. That's right.
That's right. Go ahead and tell them where they on, Nikki. Hotline.
On the Throwback Thursdays, you're listening to myself and Keith. Don't go anywhere. We are hotline.net.
All
Give
right.
it lots.